Practice on the latex. First of all, you have to adjust your machine in average speed, and you should work in 90 degree or 80 degree. Let's start to try to work with our machine. First of all, you can do the strokes. One more time. And then when you starting to work with your machine, you can see what you should do. You can adjust speed. For example, for this machine, I will do a little bit slow. Now again, we will start to work with machine. Now you can see it's better working, and you can see more pixels in our strokes. Now let's try to work with shading. We are working toward ourselves, and as you can see, I am working with very soft strokes. Don't do like that. When you can see here, you have dark zone, and here you have more light zone. And don't work like that. When you can see here dark spots and this light spot, your start of the strokes and the end of the strokes should be soft. Let me show for you one more time. And you can see here it's more soft, here soft, and in the middle we have more pigment. When you are doing shading, you should do your strokes very close to each other. Don't work like that. Your strokes should be close because you have to have very colored space and without any gaps between strokes. Let me show for you one more time. Now you can see very nice work. Your strokes have to be approximately 1 centimeter, but it depends on the shading. Sometimes we can do more shorter movement, sometimes we can do even more longer movement. It will depend on area where you will work. Now let me show for you how to make shading on the eyebrows, for example. You should color and do very good shading toward yourself from the left side to the right side. And now I'm returning back. And now what I'm doing, I'm adding 1 millimeter here and starting from this point. Moving forward toward myself to the right, and again come back to the left. Again adding plus 1 millimeter and moving forward. Again coloring without gaps and moving forward toward myself. Again adding plus 1 millimeter, coloring, continue working with the shading and with the pixels. And again. And now you can see very good shading in this area. At the beginning of our shading you can see a little bit lighter than in the middle, and at the end you also can see that it's lighter. You can add 1 millimeter and moving forward, and you can also measure like 20% of 100% and moving forward. The most common mistake is when you doing shading and you doing the gaps. Let me show for you. Imagine you did your shading with the pixel, and then you starting here. And again you starting here. And what you can see, we have gaps between our section. And another mistakes is when we are working with the machine and then we are working like that, and again we are working like that. What you can see here, we have dark spots in this area, here a little bit less pigment, and again here dark spots. What does it mean? When the shadowing will be healed, here you will have dark spots in healing result, and here you will have gaps. That's why when you are coloring, you should do even color between the lines and between the sections. When you are practicing, you can make a little bit slower speed on your machine, and you can see that we have a little bit different pixels. If you compare with this one, here we can see our pixels very small, and distance between the pixels is very small here and here. And in this part we can see that pixels have a little bit more distance between them, and we have a little bit different design of our pixels. You should adjust, and you can play with machine, and you can play with the speed of your machine, and also the design depends on your hands. You have to practice and try to find the best way how to work with your machine and with the speed of the machine. For example, here you can work with very dry or normal skin, or with very thin skin. In this way, for example, you can work with oily and combination skin, and if you will do a little bit more pressure on the skin, for example, like that, and you will straighten the skin a little bit more, your dots will be a little bit darker because the needle will go a little bit deeper inside the skin. You can do this with very thick skin, with oily combination skin, because the epidermis and derma a little bit thicker on this type of the skin, and you should do a little bit darker and a little bit deeper. And you can see you will have different shading if you compare this shading, and our first shading. Another exercises what you can do, you can try to work from the contour line. Please draw the line with the pencil, and now we will continue working. You can practice to work toward yourself from the line. And now I will show for you how to make it very, very slow. It should be like that. But when you're working with the skin, you will work faster. And when you are working with the contour, you should make it even. And you can see my strokes right now a little bit shorter because I should make very accurate work here from the line. And then you can continue working a little bit more longer movement to connect with our short movement, and you can make the color even if you need the even color. As you can see what I am doing, I am going from left side to the right side toward myself and coloring all the gaps. You can practice to work with the line with changing directions, for example, like that. And let me show for you how you will do it a little bit faster. Again, from the contour line, and we continue working from the contour line, doing some improvement if you have some gaps, and continue working with the shadowing and doing very good pixelated work without any gaps on our shading. And it depends, if you need to color full part, you will color with even pigment. If you need the gradient, you will do a little bit darker in this area. Here it will be medium zone, and here, for example, it can be light zone. Now you can practice the same with changing direction in another way, and let me show for you how you're doing it with short movement, and now you can do it with long movement. Just when you're working with changing direction, you always have to make sure it's comfortable for your hand. That's why you have to move a little bit, and you can start working from the contour line, make it even, and trying to color in all gaps what we have, and then continue moving forward with the strokes and coloring the part. Look at my hand, it's almost 90 degree, 80 degree, and your pixels will be very good at 80 or 90 degree. Don't work with 65 or 45. It's just when we are working with some areas where you have to implant more pigment and to do short strokes. Now let's practice to make the line. You can make the line in different way. For example, you can make it with back and forth movement like that. 1 millimeter, 1 millimeter, 1 millimeter, 1 millimeter. You just add in, or you can do it just in one line. In one line. It depends how your machine is working, and also it depends on the speed of your machine. Usually we are working with back and forth movement. Let me show for you one more time. And if I will adjust the machine and to do speed a little bit lower, it will be like that. And you can see the sound of our machine a little bit different, and you can play with the contour what is better for you. But you have to control the deepness. You don't need to do like that, right? Because you will broken the skin and you will broke machine and the needle. You have to work very, very soft on the skin, and the deepness should be even the same. And you can continue working and practice with the contour line like that. Now let's practice to make gradient. We are starting to do shading, and you can see my strokes very, very soft, moving forward plus 1 millimeter down, and continue coloring with the pixels, and we will do a little bit more for you just to show what does it mean gradient. That's why we should do a little bit longer part of our practice with shading. And now, as you can see, we are doing our strokes toward myself with horizontal movement. Okay, it's enough. Next pass, we will change direction a little bit, and we can move like that. And a little bit go up here, for example, like that. And moving forward. Now you can change directions and you can work in another side. Here we were working horizontal movement toward ourselves. Then we were changing directions and we were doing the movement with changing direction in this side. And again we changing direction and we were working here like that. And what you can see right now, you can see we have dark zone inside their part of the shading, and outside we have more pixelated and powdered effect. This shading sometimes you can do for powdered eyebrows when your client will ask you to make more fluffy and airy look. Also, you can practice to work with the line not toward yourself. You can practice to work in opposite side. For example, let me show for you. It will be from the line, from the line, from the line. And now let's work more faster. And you can see we are doing the shading on opposite side from yourself, and try to work and practice without gaps. These strokes will give you opportunity to work with gradient in another way. First, we will do our powder toward ourselves, for example, like that. Now we are changing directions and working from this line. Just imagine you working like that, and we go a little bit up from this line. Now you change in directions and you will work on opposite side, not toward yourself, upwards yourself, but also you can change directions and you can work like that. Just it will be faster and you will work in this direction. Let me show for you here. And again from the bottom line. And now let me show for you how we are making dark area, for example, with our line. Back and forth. Back and forth movement. And now what you can see, we have line, dark line, we have powdered pixels inside, and we have a little bit more light zone in the up. But we would like to do more gradient look, and we have to add the passes. For example, we can add pass near the contour line. For example, more horizontal movement. And you can see I'm not working in full shading, I am working just near the contour line. And where I would like to make it darker. It's like I am adding the color where I would like to make dark zone. And close to the bottom line to make dark area. And you can improve some gaps here if you would like. Now we have line, we have dark zone, we have light zone. But here again we would like to make gradient. We will add a little bit more strokes here. And to make more airy look, again we can change directions and we can add more pixels here on the top. And again you can change directions and you can continue improving your gradient. And at the end you even can do some pixels. Pixels, it's like dots, what you can add on the skin. Just don't go like that, like I showed for you, because it will be very thick dots and very deep. You have to do it like pixels powdered effect. And don't do like in line, yeah, because we have to have its more soft look and natural look. That's why your dots should be not in line, like that, for example. Again, you can improve a little bit. For example, if you want to add here a little bit more color, you will add changing directions. And in this area as well. And again, you can change directions and you can add some color here. And if you would like to make darker in this area as well. And now what you can see, we have dark zone here. Here we have medium zone. and here we have light zone. For example, this is part of our eyebrows, where bottom line will be a little bit darker and upper line will be more pixelated look. Or you can do, for example, ombre powdered eyebrows and ombre powdered head of the eyebrows. Let me show for you. Again, we are drawing our powdered pixels. Imagine this is our head of the eyebrow, like part of our eyebrow. And our eyebrows will have, for example, precise borders like that. Then we change in directions and we are working a little bit toward ourselves like that. And again, you can change directions and work toward yourself. And then you can improve a little bit borders and our pixel, and adding the color. And now imagine you have your head of the eyebrows here. Here in this area close to the nose, it will be more soft look and pixelated look, and here you will continue working with the eyebrows. And if you have some gaps here, you also can improve your head and place some dots here if you would like in some areas. Yeah, like that. And now you can see how you can practice with the gradient. You can use gradient for the head of the eyebrows. You can use the gradient for the magic shading eyebrows with bottom line dark area and with upper part of the eyebrows with more pixelated look. And also you can use gradient inside the eyebrows. For example, in the middle it will be dark zone, and on the up line and on the bottom line of the eyebrows it will be more pixelated look. As you can see, we already know how to work with lines toward yourself in different directions and how to work upward yourself and in different directions. Another movement what you can do, it's like you can do pendulum movement towards and upwards. Let me show for you how you can practice towards, upwards, towards, upward, towards, upward, towards, upward, towards, upward. It's now I'm showing for you the slow movement. But when you're working with pendulum movement, usually we are working in some areas where we need more pigment and more dark area, and then you can work faster. It means all your movement will be with the pigment. And you can see how fast we are doing the powder. Just what you should be very careful when you are working with pendulum movement. Why? Because usually when you are working with pendulum, you're going inside the skin and out from the skin, inside the skin and out from the skin. And you can make some dark spots, for example, some doing more dark spots when they out from the skin, some do it more dark spot when they going inside the skin. That's why just be very careful when you are working with pendulum movement, what I'm talking about. For example, You see here I have more dark spots, and in this area the healed result will be more dark and more grayish. That's why when you are working with pendulum movement, you should control yourself and you should practice on the latex, and maybe to do a little bit shorter movement. And with shorter movement you will make more control with your hand and with your machine, and you will implant more pigment in the area where you need to make it a little bit darker. As I told you, for example, it can be in the gradient, in the magic shading eyebrows, or it can be in soft eyeliner, or it can be in aquarelle lips. When you are practicing, you can clean your shading and you can see how you are working with the skin. And now I would like for you to show what I'm talking about when we are working and when we are talking about the gaps. As you can see here, we have very good powder. Here we have gap and here we have gaps. And if we are looking on this shading, here you see in this area you have more pigment, and this pigment can be a little bit deeper inside the skin, and then you will have at this area dark spot. That's why when you're practicing with the powdered, you always have to first of all practice your strokes, how you're working without gaps. You can practice with different type of the skin, with different directions to make lines and gradient, but then at the end you also have to check yourself how you working with the skin, and you will see approximately your result, how it will be on the skin of your client. Let's practice together. Now we will do powdered, for example, like that. And we are doing our strokes approximately 1 centimeter from the right side to the left side. Then we are moving plus 1 millimeter going down, and again turning from the left side to the right side. Again we are moving plus 1 millimeter and continue working with the shading and moving forward toward yourself with horizontal movement, and again working toward yourself, and we have now very nice pixels and shadowing. Your shadowing will depend on the machine and on your work. When you will clean your shadowing, you will have very nice first pass and very nice pixels and shadowing.